less new things, your brain just kind of doesn't really record those, those particular moments because everything is so repetitious. Adults typically have less and less new experiences than children do. But does that really mean that that's the reason behind all of this? Or is it just a conspiracy? Now, there's a lot of talk things that I won't bring up here, this part, but you really have to wonder. Another reason too that could be behind this is that there's really like a digital overload right now. There is so much digital stuff always, coming in our faces, so much information. It's like we can't even keep up. And we don't really operate in a slower pace of life like we used to. Everything now is so fast paced. It's like a hustle culture. The fact that, things move a lot quicker. If you spend some time online, sometimes you look back at the clock and it's like, whoa, where did the time go, right? So that really does add to it. But you really do have to wonder too if there maybe is something more to this, because a lot of people are saying different things and they're tracking, time, and they're saying that this doesn't really add up. So let me know what your thoughts are below. Do you feel like this? Do you feel like there's something to this new theory that people are make sense and that it's just everyone's imagination? For watching, and
Now, that is something that I want to know as well. And that also leads into this next situation, considering time, considering the things that affect us from not having enough time to do the things that we need to do, as far as our responsibilities, our priorities, the things that we feel that we should be pouring our attention with. This really breaks it down on the outlook of life. Now, before he, which is quite interesting, the lesson to this moment, these different deities, it's heads or tails, totally different. As far as religious and cultural practices, India is quite different from American religious cultural practices. Majority of them in some type of Islamic, right? So I find this quite interesting. You being Aries, which is pointing of Asia, majority of Asia's continent doesn't practice Christianity, and that's my opinion. Not saying that there aren't any Christians, it's not a lot. Majority of their religious practices, Islam, um, then in Chicago, I'm familiar with city, Illinois. I call it Illinois. Everybody from Illinois be like, oh, it's no S. But yeah, it's quite interesting to know his background and what drove him into this deep research when they're due diligence to learn come from who God is to have a personal relationship. That's exactly what I see from this guy. He has a personal relationship with God. He has a solid foundation. When the wind blows, he won't wither away like the leaves on the tree. He's going to stand appearances. Now, Joshua, from my understanding, he came from the lineage of Moses. Moses, Aaron, what was her name? They got a sister. So this is the thing about this, right? Moses, at the time where he was a baby, before he was even born, the Pharaoh was killing all of the offsprings of the. If you wasn't Egyptian, you was a whatever they was. I forget, right? So, with that being said, Moses grew up as an Egyptian, even though his bloodline is not Egyptian. His mother put him in a basket, sent him away so he wouldn't get killed because he was the river. God kept him safe. He guided him into the kingdom of the pharaohs, and they raised him as his own. He grew up as an Egyptian. That was his whole livelihood, his cultural existence, and everything. Right? He lived the way that they lived. The problem with that is that they had the nation under control, lock and key. They was sort of what the rulers of the land that God has promised to his children, the land that God has made holy. They're now defiling this land that's supposed to be a holy land, and God is not pleased with it. He puts into Moses' heart as he gets older that you're not the same as these people. The way that these people live is not the way that I designed for my people to live. And with that being in Moses' heart, he gave him that part. And that's what holiness means, to be different and set apart from the worldly ideologies that's going on in the world, the mindset of the world. When you're different from the world, you see different from the world, you're become set apart. You don't partake in these worldly activities, right? But anyway, I digress. So his brother and his sister, they grew up not Egyptians. They grew up with different cultural traditions. And once they finally linked with a Z, I forget her name, but her family was, they had some, like, they was like a tribe, right? I forget. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll get back to that in a bit. But Joshua came, Aaron and his sons became high priests and different stuff like that to serve the Lord, and he kept on that promise. So this is what's taking place, and this is still back in Genesis, going into Exodus, Deuteronomy, and so forth and so on as the story continues. Lot, but really they all come before Moses, but within that range, it was Abraham first. Lot had Moses, Naaman, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob was Israel today is really Jacob, one of the forefathers that God was speaking to. This the holy city, the holy land of Israel. That's really Jacob. Jacob was there doing God's work, and then God changed his name from Jacob to Israel. So that's where Israel come from. So I'm pretty sure some people probably curious as to what is a hyperlink. What is he talking about, right? Well, in the Bible, which is a book that references itself, are the hyperlinks that no, you're not sure what you just read, you can't really obtain, and you read those hyperlinks, references to different books, different verses that give you more detail on what you've read, and they're not always there in little hyperlinks at the birth. But yeah, this is the book that I know that the only book, to be honest, that references itself. So you can be like, oh, how do I read the Bible? You read. You pray before you read, just like you would do an item, and you go into it with the you pray for a spiritual wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that you can understand the spiritual things and spiritual side of life. Both, right? Just like you don't take care of your physical body as far as your health, it deteriorates. You don't take care of your spiritual body, you have spiritual problems like sicknesses, disease, spiritual attacks. As the energy goes and root works and stuff like that, manipulating energy, these type of spiritual things, right? When you pray, you don't know how to manifest those spiritual things, right? under the hood. Okay. So yeah,